Welcome to Engaging Aging. I'm Erin DiCarlo.
And I'm Lauren Watts.
We believe life gets richer with age, and we're here to prove it.
We bring you real conversations about aging well, living fully, and navigating this journey with confidence.
So let's dive in, because aging isn't something to endure, it's something to embrace.
Welcome back to Engaging Aging. It's Lauren Watts, and today I am so excited to welcome Curtis Peterson, the National Director of Sales for Certified Senior Advisors, which is the leading certification for professionals serving older adults. Curtis, it is a pleasure to finally have you on our podcast. Thank you for making the time. And I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to a very engaging conversation for us to have today. So welcome. As you know, Erin and I are both advocates for the older adult. Simultaneously, we also provide education for professionals inside our industry and outside our industry. And so our listeners today are usually made up of the older adult themselves, those that are supporting them in their aging journey, as well as professionals. So I'd love to start by having you introduce yourself and sort of just the overall organization of Certified Senior Advisors, where it came from, how it started, and why it's so important for professionals and older adults to know about.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much for having me. It's a real pleasure. Absolutely. I've been with the society for almost 19 years now. So obviously, when I first encountered the program, it really resonated with me. And it was founded by a gentleman named Ed Pittock in 1997. And after speaking with Ed, it's really comes down to one thing. This is really about helping older adults age successfully.
Mhm.
And it's for the benefit of older adults. So, I think what Ed realized back then is that there really was no good, wide, spread information about aging that professionals could take advantage of in their approach to helping older adults. So what he did is he brought together subject matter experts in finance, health, social, all these different areas of aging to provide a good groundwork to help people in different professions really be able to have a better view and understanding overall of all the complexities people face. So the program has not changed since 1997. I mean, we're very much multidisciplinary and have been really since the beginning. So it's intended to just really provide professionals with a much better understanding of folks that they're actually helping.
I'm curious because we've been in the aging space for a really long time as well, and there are so many different designations, certifications that are out there, really focused on supporting the older adult. We are also in the real estate space, as you know, so we have seniors real estate specialists. There are other programs that are out there. From your perspective, what makes CSA different than the other programs that are out there? And they're not all created equal, right? They all have their purpose in their space in this landscape. But what are your thoughts in terms of what CSA really brings to a professional and to the older adult that they're supporting?
Yeah, and I think that's the key. They all have their place in providing, good information to industry. So I mean, obviously one of the big differences in CSA is that we are a multidisciplinary credential. Um, SRES provides good information specific to real estate. Other professions have credentials and licensing requirements. Um, so I think in the big scope of things, what makes CSA so important is really supplementing that specific industry knowledge, really with all of the other complexities that people really are going to face as they age. So that's certainly one big way, that we're a lot different, and we pride ourselves in, having members in all different disciplines and a vetted network. Frankly, that's a big part of the program. Another way that we're quite different and, there's a lot of programs out there calling themselves certifications. Um, and there's a lot of great programs out there, but one reason we're different is we're actually an accredited certification, which is surprisingly not as common as you think.
Mhm.
I think somewhere around less than 11% of credentials are actually accredited. And so why is that important? Well, it's important because as a third party validation, it's really a guarantee that you have high standards, the program's developed with rigor, has ongoing requirements, disciplinary guidelines, all these important aspects. So it's a big deal, and we actually have the distinction of having accreditation by two national accrediting bodies, both ANAB, ANSI, National Accreditation Board, and NCCA, which is the National Commission for Certifying Agencies. So those are just, a couple of ways that really I think CSA is quite different and unique, and yet supports other credentials that are industry specific.
I have to say, from the professional standpoint of being a CSA myself, and Erin and I talk about this a lot, and we've shared it with you and your team as well. There's a difference when you have to go through a process of keeping up your continuing education for CSA and what that means, but also the quality assurance component that comes with CSA as well, and really making sure that the professionals that are under and certified by CSA are of the utmost ethical standards as well. And we've had a situation here where, someone didn't trust in what we had done, and they had gone to the board, and the board really investigated it. And we give a lot of credit to what was done. It was not just a small investigation, it was pretty lengthy. And I think that that speaks volumes to the older adults that we serve, but also to the organization, that this is not just something that, anyone and everyone can get and stands behind. It's quite elaborate in terms of the process in which CSA goes through, and make sure that the professionals that are CSAs are held to ethically, which I think is fantastic. I'm sure that you've seen many instances over the years, and what that means. And can you speak a little bit to that in terms of what is required of the board?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, it's a really good point. As a CSA, you're really required to agree and abide by a code of standards. It's the CSA Code of Professional Responsibility. And that really outlines guidelines and trustworthiness, competency, and all the different areas that are really going to be important. And built into our program, of course, is a disciplinary council, a complaint process, all those important aspects of, making sure that, we have people that are in the right space in their mind and so forth, who are operating out there as CSAs in whatever profession they're in, and abiding by those codes and those ethical processes. So yeah, I think that's important. That's certainly one of the great things about CSA is we hold people to high standards, and through the agreement of abiding by that, we actually, have people complete a disclosure questionnaire every time they renew their certification, in addition to when they first enroll. So each year, CSA has to go through those same disclosure questions in the event something might have changed.
Mhm.
And so I think that's super important. We also do a background check on every candidate that wants to become a CSA. And as well, we do a criminal background check every 3 years. So you can see that we take that very seriously and feel that it's the foundation, really of a big part of our program.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about the multidisciplinary aspect of the CSA, which is so critically important. And I want to elaborate on that because we are not, as professionals, out there trying to be everything for our clients, right? CSA in the multidisciplinary aspect allows us to have enough knowledge and enough knowing, as well as a network, to be able to go out and really support our clients, from any perspective that they're coming to us with aging. Can you talk a little bit about the success that you've seen from all of these multidisciplinary aspects of finance, elder law, and estate planning, real estate, care management, really coming together to build a network nationwide to support their clients with whatever their needs are?
Yeah. And that, that's again, it's a huge part of our approach. So what we've attempted to do over time is help facilitate really these groups that want to get together um, and use a network in their particular geographic area. So we call it the CSA Leaders Network. And we have resources assigned to help. We've got some structure and guidelines in place. So we really try to get these groups to help them get off the ground and find people in their area to build this vetted network. And these groups, they come together to strengthen their connections, to share information. A lot of times they'll have guest speakers provide continuing education. Sometimes they go out into the community, promote their services. But ultimately, it's about having people you can rely on, people who are trained, vetted, and you can rely on to refer business to. So ultimately that's what it's about. Not only do we have these groups across the country, and we're always striving to create more. And a lot of these happen just kind of organically through the professionals themselves. But we hold our national conference every year, and that's a really great opportunity to make and strengthen connections in all areas, of aging. So, those are just some of the things that we do. But again, that leaders network, I think, is super important, and we'd love to get more people involved in that.
What do you do from an organizational perspective of really helping professionals understand that the area of expertise that you're in or your zone of genius, whether you are a care manager, an elder law attorney, or a financial planner, it is important for you to quote unquote stay in your lane a lot of times with your clients and bring the professionals in. You talk a little bit about the structure of the CSA certification and the content and the programming having been the same over the last 19 years. You talk about the conference and using that platform to bring new things that are coming up in the industry, as well as I want to give you a plug for the CSA Journal, which has been fantastic. Talk about, a really high touch piece that gives us the education that we need on an ongoing basis. What else is CSA doing to really help professionals understand the importance of staying in their lane for their clients and bringing in the right professionals as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's our mantra basically. And again, I go right back to the code of professional responsibility. It really requires a professional also to follow the guidelines of their license, regardless whether they're selling insurance. So, it really requires them to maintain professional integrity through licensure and training and really understanding the guidelines set forth by their particular industry. And then again, I mean, the code itself strictly prohibits you from, providing services that are out of the scope of what you do. And I mean, that can even result in disciplinary action. So, I mean, it's important. Again, it comes down to one thing: put the older adult first, provide them with the best care. And again, that's what's great about the CSA membership and the diverseness of it, because you do have other people you can rely on. I mean, someone can go to the CSA website if they're looking for help in another area. It's pretty easy to find somebody, and you can search by multiple, different ways to find the right professional. But I think establishing those networks is what we really encourage, and that goes a long ways.
I'm going to go there and I'm just going to call it out because it's something that is on the top of mine and Erin's mind these days, especially as there's a growing influx of conversation around supporting older adults, and they are the wave of the future and they need that support. Everyone is aging every single day of their life. There's a lot of chatter that's out there amongst professionals around getting into the space of supporting older adults. and becoming senior advisors, not necessarily a certified senior advisor, but really supporting older adults. We hear on one hand from professionals all of the time, we do exactly what you do. I've supported my mom in the past. I've gone through this with her, but someone is not a certified senior advisor. Can you talk a little bit about the damage that can be done with someone just going into supporting older adults in this space without the proper certification?
Yeah, and I think it's important, first of all, to make one distinction. The CSA certification does not make you an expert. It doesn't provide expertise in any one particular area. That's very important to understand. What you're dealing with is a lot of different facets of aging and disciplines that are out there with varying degrees of legislation and or requirements. You know, so how what those guidelines are is going to determine what kind of training and what kind of guidelines are attached to each industry. Um, Again, we don't differentiate between industries as long as you're following the code of professional responsibility. But it's super important to have the proper training, if not licensure. And so I think that's the key. Um, and it's a bit of a struggle because again, there are some industries that are less regulated. So having CSA certainly does not provide you with licensure or expertise, but it gives you a wonderful wider lens of all the complexities. And more importantly, it introduces you to understanding more about the areas where older adults could need help and benefit from another professional. So it's important to stay in your lane, but also have the proper credentials and training.
Can you talk a little bit about, because I know that we are advocates of real estate agents becoming CSAs, and we've had a lot of conversations around the importance of this. What do you feel is the difference that you're seeing? Are you seeing a lot of real estate agents these days wanting to become CSAs, and what is sort of the draw there? I mean, obviously, from our conversation today, we can gather what that is, but
Yeah,
are
right.
you seeing a big difference with real estate agents becoming CSAs?
Yeah, and I would say, that really probably started over the past course of the past 4 years, maybe.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people were in real estate and earning the SRES, and they felt like that was adequate, which is fine. Um, and I think what's happened is, with the awareness of really what CSA provides in terms of the scope, the background, the ongoing benefits, I think we're just seeing more interest in elevating professionals beyond, a credential like SRES. And I'm not saying anything bad about SRES, but it does not go into the scope and the breadth of what we're providing in terms of the training and also the examination and the validation of that knowledge. So again, I think a lot of it is just there's a buzz, out there. People want to professionally develop themselves. They want to, commit themselves to lifelong learning, and obviously with professional development as well as a credential, this provides you with differentiation. And, I think that's another thing that's attracting people.
And what I love too is it's going beyond just sort of the knowledge base of sort of that aging journey that someone could go through, all of the different professionals that they need to have, on their side to help them from point A to point B and understand the components that they need. But it really also helps us go into the family dynamics, the conversations around aging, the complexity of Alzheimer's and dementia, what we can see when we're meeting with a client and how to sort of overcome sometimes those obstacles, you know, that come up with the aging journey. What is one piece of advice that you would give to a professional that is thinking about becoming a CSA that really sort of encompasses all of those components of the content that is provided through CSA?
Yeah, I mean, I think really, what it boils down to is, if you're looking at developing yourself professionally and again trying to differentiate yourself, there's a lot of different options. You can choose what kind of organizations to affiliate yourself with. Um, I think, again, what CSA is doing is providing a more holistic approach and understanding, again, like you said, family dynamics, all those complexities that happen within the health and social ranges. Um, just having a little better understanding of that is certainly going to go a long ways. And I think, you know, most of the people who look at CSA have their heart in the right place, and that's really encouraging. But again, I think it's just having a better lens of really what's going on with people. I think that is the important aspect of it to provide you with really just a better approach and putting older adults first.
That's great. For our older adult listeners or their adult children that are listening to the podcast today, do you have any advice or recommendations for how to really vet out the right professional that is supporting you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's super important. But a lot of people get referrals from friends, family, and things like that. But it is important to look at what the qualifications are for people that you're going to employ or have come into your home, for crying out loud. I mean, that you really do
Right out
need to
there.
take a hard look at who's helping your loved ones. And so again, I think, with the CSA credential, if you ask professionals about what their credentials and qualifications are, you're going to find out a lot more than if you just trust that what they're saying is they have the ability to help you. So, I mean, it is important to look at, vet, and try to make sure that you validate that somebody holds a particular credential or license. We do have people who call in quite often just to, validate that we have an actual active CSA. Additionally, that can also be done on the CSA website. So if you're listed under the Find a CSA locator, then you're an active CSA. So you've maintained those requirements, you've agreed to the code of ethics, you're background checked, you've done all the rigor of the program, and so yes, very important to vet credentials of professionals that are going to help you.
I think you touched upon something really important right now that is good for our listeners. For the older adult that's looking to vet out a CSA, where do they find that information? You mentioned the website, but what is that actual URL that they would go to?
Yeah. So I mean, if somebody claims they're a CSA and you really want to validate that, I mean, you can simply go to our website, which is csa.us. So there's no com, it's just csa.us. And in the upper right-hand corner of our homepage, there's a button that says Find a Certified Senior Advisor. So that's one way. And again, I think checking with licensing boards. If somebody claims to be a financial advisor, insurance, whatever it is, you can certainly go through that vetting process with individual boards in different industries. Um, another resource for people to get resources in that matter would probably be an area agency on aging. Um, that's always a good idea as well to check with them.
And what about for the professional that this conversation has sort of piqued their curiosity around CSA and they want to learn more information to really validate if it's something that is important for them and their professional development?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do is every month we have an informational webinar, and we usually have a guest, and they really come from different industries and different disciplines. So it kind of gives you a different perspective. So each month we do one of these informational webinars. You can get information on that from the CSA website, or subscribing to our newsletter. Additionally, I make myself available all the time and schedule calls with individuals, make Zoom calls, and I am always more than happy to share that information. Obviously, our website, csa.us, is going to provide a ton of information. Um, But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do a one-on-one with anybody who's interested. But again, the information webinars are good, and they encompass pretty much most of the kind of questions that people have, as well as giving the perspective of a professional who is a CSA.
I really appreciate you saying that. It's been really nice to see the dynamic of people who Erin and I talked to about becoming CSAs and really encouraging them to do so and seeing the benefit. But then once they get on the call with you, it's like that light bulb goes off of, okay, now I can see the connection of how some of these other designations or certifications are beneficial, but really where CSA just takes it to the next level to really support their personal and professional development. So I hope for the listeners today, whether you're an older adult searching for someone to really provide support for you in your aging journey, or a professional to go to those resources, really vet that out, understand how a certified senior advisor can really bring a multidisciplinary sort of holistic approach to your aging journey, but also really support you in working with and supporting older adults as well, because it's so critically important. I said it before, we are all aging every single day of our lives. We get a little bit older, and it's never too early to start the process and really start to think about what that looks like. What components do we need to have as part of our plan? Because the worst thing that can happen is we're in a crisis situation and we haven't done anything, right? So it's really, really important. Curtis, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for the invitation to talk to professionals and just be part of that conversation. I think as professionals, we constantly need to look at how can we elevate our practices, our ethical standards, and really support our clients with a holistic approach. So this has been really beneficial. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. And just, for anybody that wants to contact me, I'm pretty prominent on the website under Meet Our Team. You can find my email address. It's just curtisp@csa.us. And I can connect with anybody who's interested and look forward to helping.
Thank you. And I actually just have a quick question for you as well. The journal that we mentioned a little bit ago is really rich in content with regards to aging journey and, just everything in the senior space. Is there somewhere that someone can get a little taste of the CSA journal so that they know the type of content that is released?
Yeah, there is indeed. Actually, and you can download I believe, one free journal. But just a little background, it's one of our ongoing member benefits. It's an award-winning publication. It won a Mature Media Award several years. It is full of great articles by experts around the country in various areas of aging. If you go to CSA.us, and I believe it's under resources, you can the general public or non-CSAs can go and they can get free resources, such as downloading one free edition of the CSA Journal. So that would be a great way to get a taste of that wonderful publication.
Awesome. And I think it's great for older adults too to kind of see that content as well. So again,
Absolutely.
Curtis, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to continuing the conversation with you in other ways. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Welcome. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today. We love having these conversations, and we hope they sparked something for you too.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and share it with your community, because together we can change the way the world sees aging.
You can find us at dovetailcompanies.com or on any of our social media channels at Dovetail Companies.
And just a quick note, the opinions shared in this podcast are those of our guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Engaging Aging, Dovetail Companies, or our team.
So until we see you next time, keep engaging with aging.